St Alphonsus Liguori was born September 27, 1696, in Naples, Italy. He was the eldest son of 7 children. His father, Don Joseph de Liguori, was captain of the royal galley, and his mother, Anna, was a Spaniard. As a child, his stubbornness was remarkable. His father once said, "I know his obstinacy." When he once makes up his mind, he is inflexible. Growing up, he proved himself to be an astonishingly bright student, earning his law degree in civil and canon law at just 16 years of age. In his 8-year law career as an advocate, legend says that he never lost a case. Although incredibly pious and prayerful, even he had his faith tested, when at 26 he found himself swept up in society. He had a highly respectable position, and he was preoccupied by banquets, theatres and festivals, which dulled his spiritual life. He would eventually renounce this phase of his life. At 27, after having lost an important case, which legend has it was the first that he had lost in 8 years of practicing law, he made a firm resolution to leave the profession of law. Moreover, he heard an interior voice that said, "Leave the world and give yourself to me." It is said that he went directly from the courthouse to a church to devote his life to God. In 1726, he was ordained a priest. In the following 6 years, his teaching transformed Naples' crime-ridden districts, and they showed vast improvements, with new members of the faithful meeting in a confraternity called the Association of the Chapels, which exists to this day. And while he achieved a lot, he did not stay in Naples for long. The city had many priests living relatively comfortable lives, but the poor rural communities in the hills and around the capital were neglected. Alphonsus dedicated himself to these people who, although Catholic, weren't receiving the spiritual nourishment that they needed. They had no education and they wallowed in material poverty. Despite his formidable intellect, Alphonsus was by no means inaccessible in his teaching or his writing. He expressed himself clearly and simply, and his empathy made him an effective evangelizer. In 1732, he founded the Congregation of the Most Holy Redeemer, or the Redemptorists, in a town called Scala. After trying to reject the position, believing that the administrative work would overtake his other duties, he was made bishop at age 66. In the last decades of his long life, his health deteriorated, and 8 times he was given the sacrament of the dying. As a lawyer, founder, religious superior, bishop, theologian, mystic, and a missionary, Alphonsus was a jack of all trades and a master of all trades. He wrote extensively throughout his life, and his works fall into 3 genres: moral theology, ascetical, and devotional writings. The Glories of Mary is among the most prominent Marian devotions throughout church history. His Moral Theology, which he wrote in 9 volumes, made him, as John Paul has written, the renovator of moral theology. His works have succeeded in indicating the way for a correct balance between rigorism and liberty, writing that it is not always true that the narrowest way is the safest way to direct souls. And that's really what is the most admirable about Alphonsus. He was brilliant at resolving the tension of opposites. He was somewhat poor, but from a wealthy family line. He preached obedience, but also left room for examining one's conscience. He was a genius in a rationalistic sense, and yet he was also a great mystic, powerful spiritual insights in a time that didn't foster spiritual depth. On August 1st, 1787, Alphonsus Liguori died at age 90. He was canonized in 1839, and in 1871, he was declared a doctor of the church. Alphonsus' legacy endures through his writing and through the members of his order, now called the Redemptorists, who continue his work of evangelizing the poor and marginalized in all parts of the world. St Alphonsus' ministry of spiritual education continues to serve as an enduring example of faith and devotion. He is the patron saint of lawyers, confessors, and moralists. St Alphonsus Liguori, pray for us.